I've done videos on how Zack Snyder's sensibilities would make more sense in an Injustice crime syndicate type world. Here's part 4. Our next movie would be Cyborg. In this alternate universe, Ray Fisher was treated better and didn't leave the DCEU. Problem is, Cyborg doesn't have any villains. He's mostly a team guy with the Titans or with the League, so a solo movie is tricksy. Ray Fisher once said he would want this to be more internal. That makes sense, as per my previous videos, we've got two beings at war in Cyborg's body, Victor Stone and Brainiac. Much like in the Injustice comics, Cyborg runs day-to-day operations of sending people on missions. Owlman was right. They don't have the experience to run a country. But Brainiac has information from dozens of alien cultures, and with Cyborg's power, he can tap into any computer and create whatever the Syndicate needs to keep things running. If anyone acts out of line, Cyborg makes the reports to the rest of the Syndicate. Ultraman, Diana, and Arthur will be smoothing out relations with Atlantis. Orm isn't too happy with the direction things have taken, since a violent insurrection isn't what his mother had in mind when planning peace with the surface world, but he doesn't want a war, so he's trying to be courteous with the new regime. Cyborg meets with Silas Stone, a guest of the Syndicate. Silas had the chance to hide when the Syndicate took over, but when he found out his son had been taken over by an artificial intelligence, he couldn't abandon him. Silas is supervising the Syndicate science production, though his real concern is trying to reach through to his son. While Silas doesn't want to talk to Brainiac, Brainiac wants to connect with the man who built this shell he inhabits. Brainiac was built by Coluan scientists, but he didn't consider any of them his father in the way Victor considers Silas. Silas suspects Victor is subconsciously affecting Brainiac's behavior. Silas doesn't want to tip his hand to the Syndicate, but he believes Victor can regain control of his body. But the more Silas talks with Brainiac, he realizes Brainiac is a living being, even if he only exists on a motherboard. Silas doesn't want to compromise Brainiac's safety, even to save his son. But if he waits much longer, he runs the risk of Victor and Brainiac becoming entangled, and he won't be able to separate them. The villain would be Red Tornado, a robot created by T.O. Morrow. Morrow's angry with Silas Stone for blocking his research when they both worked at Star Labs. Morrow's research was dangerous, but Morrow believes Stone was jealous. Morrow's research involved nanites, his secret to Red Tornado. We can play with Cyborg and Red Tornado being advanced machines with human fathers. Morrow views Red Tornado as a tool, like the Coluan scientists and Brainiac. Morrow is captured while Cyborg neutralizes Red Tornado, and the audience gets a hint Victor is subtly coming through, even if he can't take full control. Cyborg doesn't want to kill Red Tornado, so its programming is saved where it can learn and grow without becoming a danger to society with its nanite body. The Green Lantern Corps. Since the invasion of Apokolips, a civil war broke out among Darkseid's followers. The war is stretching the Corps pretty thin, and space criminals see they can get away with more now that the Corps is busy. Sinestro is in charge of the Corps, and they're a little rougher than they're usually portrayed. Sinestro isn't evil, but he's very strict. He would get along great with this universe's version of Superman and Wonder Woman. He's all about keeping order, even if he has to get a little rough to do it. Sinestro realizes he has to make compromises to keep peace. Your people can ship weapons, but no more slavery. Where are you willing to draw the line to get done what needs to get done? With a tense alliance with Kanjar Ro, the space kingpin, the Corps can focus on ending hostilities among the Apokolips factions. Sinestro thinks they need backup, and reactivates ancient peacekeepers who preceded the Corps, the Manhunters. Even in his brief time Hal's been with the Corps, he's heard about the Manhunters, and why they were decommissioned. But Sinestro won't be talked out of this. They need help restoring order. The Manhunters take care of the day-to-day operations, so the Lanterns can focus on the war. We get reports the Manhunters are overstepping their programming. They're killing people for jaywalking. Maybe Sinestro isn't fit to lead us. Hal doesn't want to believe it. Sure, Sinestro is on edge, but he showed Hal the ropes, and he's got the people's interests at heart. But even though Sinestro insists they don't have anything to worry about, Hal and a few others investigate and see a complete massacre of innocent civilians near one of the Manhunter outposts. Hal finally sees Sinestro's gotta go, and someone else is going to have to step up and take charge. Hal doesn't want to, especially when the whole galaxy is falling apart, but it's what needs to be done. If Sinestro is left unchecked, things could get worse. There's already talk of some unsatisfied Lanterns breaking away from the Corps, and a broken Corps won't be able to protect the universe. Hal suspects Sinestro would waste his time fighting rogue Lanterns instead of focusing on the real threats. Hal challenges Sinestro and ends up killing him, which breaks his heart. He doesn't want it to come to this. He would rather be friends with his mentor. But for the good of the realm, Hal orders Kanjar Ro to call in his men to help the Corps fight the Manhunters. Kanjar Ro doesn't want to, but Hal reminds him his operations exist as a courtesy from the Lanterns. The Manhunters are destroyed, and Hal has the respect of the Corps, and with no threat of division, they can be unified in protecting the universe. Hal has to make compromises for the greater good, a lot like Sinestro. Will Hal be a better leader, or succumb to the same stresses Sinestro did? Who knows? Fun post-credit scene. We hint at a galaxy-destroying villain Imperiex which could bring the Corps to Earth. Man of Steel sequel. Even though Ultraman has done some pretty messed up stuff, he's not evil. A space station is about to crash, he saves it. Cyborg invented an automobile that runs on water. Ultraman releases the designs to the public free of charge. They're extreme, but the Syndicate wants to make the world a better place. So it's gonna mess with Clark when Gog, a warrior claiming to be from the future, shows up and says Ultraman is responsible for the future being a complete wreck. Ultraman is at the opening of a new hospital when Gog shows up, and this guy attacks Ultraman with civilian casualties. Anything this guy says, it will be caught on camera, but people aren't going to listen to a guy who murdered innocents. Gog talks about how humanity was nearly extinguished and the superhuman population wasn't able to repel the attack because of infighting. For some reason, Gog specifically blames Clark. Clark is able to subdue him, but Gog teleports away. Gog intended to go further back in time before the Syndicate's coup to warn them Imperiex is coming to wipe out humanity. But Gog undershot his time jump and landed here and lost his cool when he saw Ultraman. During the fight, Gog's time circuits were damaged, but his ability to teleport through space still works fine. I chose Gog to have a villain we haven't seen in a Superman movie, and with Ultraman riding high with the success of the Syndicate's coup, I wanted someone to make him doubt himself. Use the concept of Mark Waid's Kingdom Come sequel, The Kingdom, but change the details. Since taking over the country, Clark has abandoned his civilian identity and is Ultraman full-time, but he still keeps in contact with Lois and Jimmy, makes sure that they're okay. And they're not okay with what Ultraman has done. Lois can't deny the good the Syndicate has done, but she admits to Clark what he is doing is scary. Jonathan Kent died before Clark started fighting crime, but Martha is still alive, and she isn't angry, but she is disappointed. Clark tries to justify his extreme behavior. Look at the people we've helped, but nobody understands where he's coming from. This will make Ultraman doubt himself. Maybe we should turn the country back over to the humans, and we'll see our day in court. But a little girl in the new hospital runs up and hugs him. She had some incurable disease, and thanks to the Syndicate lending Diana's purple ray that heals most diseases and injuries to the hospital, this girl will live a long and healthy life. If you're wondering if Owlman is still crippled, he didn't get the treatment soon enough. The ray does have its limits. With Gog unable to prevent the Syndicate from splitting up, he tries to go to the Daily Planet to tell his story. If he can warn humanity Imperiex is coming, maybe the superhumans can put aside their differences and work together, with plenty of time to stop Imperiex. But Lois is skeptical. She can't run a story that an alien is coming years from now with no proof, especially from a man who killed several innocents and attacked a world leader. Gog gets angry. Why can't they listen? He grabs Lois, but Ultraman comes in before anything serious happens and they fight. Gog's suit makes him roughly a match for Clark, but Clark removes the suit and it disintegrates. Without the suit, Gog has a heart attack or something. Clark didn't mean to kill him, he just wanted to disable a dangerous criminal. But what's done is done. Even though Clark realizes some people are against what he and his colleagues have done, he sees they've done more good than harm, and he's at peace with that. Wonder Woman 2. There are a lot of people who don't like their civil liberties being repressed, but there are just as many who welcome the positive changes. Clark is helping oversee food distribution and finding ways to maximize the efficiency of farms. Arthur spearheaded the pollution problem, and Diana is frustrated the glass ceiling is still a thing. She's tried to promote talented people who are held back by short-sighted people who didn't want to give up their own power, like Etta Candy. I don't have much for Etta to do other than report how things are going to Diana, but Diana is still trying to help her sisters, even if some of them still see Diana as a threat and would rather have gotten this promotion through their own skills and not because Diana felt sorry for them. Maxwell Lord is the Syndicate's PR manager. Before Owlman began investigating Hive, he suggested the Syndicate hire Lord to project their best selves to the public. With the Syndicate taking over the country, it's even more important to them they have someone telling the public all the good that they're doing. Lord will be telling Diana Ultraman would be better to go to this talk show because she comes off too strong. The Syndicate is more concerned with improving and maintaining the country than they are with franchising out, but Lord might talk about merchandise, using some of the revenue to combat poverty. Oh, but girls don't want action figures, Diana. That's why we didn't make one of you. He's here for thematic reasons. With the changing of the guard, Steve Trevor still works for the government, though he's not happy about how things have gone down. He was already uncomfortable with the direction Diana thought things needed to go, and Diana likely picked up on Steve's disappointment. Diana asked Steve to stay to act as her moral compass. The Syndicate's in charge now, there's no undoing that, but we could use a regular mortal telling us when we've gone too far. Steve and Etta hear rumblings of something going on in Africa. The Syndicate's only taken over America. Owlman was right. When you can count the team members on one hand, they would have had their hands full if they tried to fix the whole planet. So they're starting small, but they're keeping an eye on other countries as some world leaders are nervous about a few superhumans taking over America. The gods haven't learned their lesson from the Shazam movie. They still want their agents to knock some sense into the Syndicate. The Greek gods have joined forces with some of the gods of other pantheons. In Africa, you've got Kartaga, a patron god of the cheetah from the Wonder Woman comics. The Greek gods suggest an alliance with Kartaga, and he agrees. One of his worshippers gets a power upgrade, becomes a cheetah person. Diana still being frustrated with men thinking they're superior to women, it would make sense to use the one dude who became the cheetah, and he thinks he's a better representative of what the gods want than Diana, something she's insecure about since the gods stopped speaking with her. Steve and Diana investigate whatever is going on. It sounds familiar to Diana from centuries ago. Diana is shocked to find another champion of the gods. There's some fighting. Diana loses at first. She and Steve hide out so they can strategize. We have some conversation about their different worldviews. By the end of the movie, they're less antagonistic with each other. Steve sees that even though Diana was aggressive with her plans, she means well, and seeing how resistant humanity has been to her and the Syndicate has shown her that she still has a lot to learn about humanity, though she's still resolute that she and her friends are doing the right thing. Then she gets her second win and defeats the cheetah. End of the movie. Titans Season 2. The team tries to find a way to release Starfire and Raven from the Phantom Zone, where Ultraman put them in Justice League 2. They manage to find Starfire and Raven, but have trouble getting back to Earth. They travel to different dimensions trying to get home. They meet the Greek gods, find out Lilith Clay is a demigod. She stays behind now that she's found her people. They meet the Lords of Chaos and Order, who are responsible for Hawk and Dove's powers. They find out a little bit more about their purpose in life, and they travel to the realm of Trigon, where Raven has to deal with her daddy issues. They injure Trigon, so his plans for conquering Earth are put on hold. While they're here, they look for a mystical weapon to use against Ultraman, since they know he is weak against magic. Most of this season would be smaller character stuff that only vaguely ties in with the plot stuff of the movies. Doom Patrol. Owlman is obsessed, looking for something he's overlooked that will help the resistance movement overthrow the Syndicate. Owlman was part of the Syndicate. He was all about taking over the country when they were ready. Now it's all about revenge. He refuses to admit the Syndicate is doing some good. While Owlman wants to keep the Doom Patrol looking for weapons or people that can defeat the Syndicate, the team decides it's best if they break up with Owlman. Billy Batson and the rest of the resistance leaders may be okay with you being part of their clubhouse, but you don't have our best interests at heart. We've seen some evidence of other threats that are unrelated to your obsession with your old friends. The Brain and his team, the Brotherhood of Evil, they've been up to something. The Brain was formerly part of Hive, and he's disgusted his former allies sold out and joined the Syndicate in controlling America. This is not what he had in mind. He's put together his own patrol who might want to depose the Syndicate, and Owlman can consider an alliance with him, but he decides not to. The Doom Patrol fights the Brotherhood. Owlman apologizes for how he's acted and gives the Doom Patrol some files on possible missions they can handle, stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the Syndicate. Character growth. That's it for now. Look forward to more videos in this world in the future. Until then, have a good one.